Okay, so World War One. The aircraft played a pivotal role. Wait, five. Pivotal role for all sides of World War One. When the conflict began in 1914, early forms were typically unarmed and used in the Renaissance role unit personal weapon until personal weapons were added. From there, the machine gun was finally fixed to these aircraft to create the fighter aeroplane. Sorry, I can't speak today. In World War One, World War One was the first time that aircraft had been used for combat on a large scale. At first, they were used mostly for Renaissance and later for fighting and bombing. So, Felixstowe F.5 Renaissance flying boat.
Logan's pronounced Felixstowe.
Okay, Felixstowe. Sorry. Porte had designed a better hull for the larger Certus H312 flying boat, resulting in the Felixstowe F.2A, which was greatly superior to the original circus boat. This entered production and service as a patrol craft. In February 1917, the first prototype of the Felixstowe F.3 was flown. This was larger and heavier than the F.2, giving it a greater range and a heavier bomb load, but inferior maneuverability. The Felixstowe F.5 was indeed to combine the good qualities of the F.2 and F.3, which the prototype first flying in May 1918. The prototype showed superior qualities to its producers, but the production version was modified to make extensive use of components from the F.3 in order to ease production, giving a lower performance than either the F.3A or the F.3. I have no clue how to pronounce this, by the way.
Salmson.
Salmson.
S-A-L-M-S-O-N.
Samson. Two developed from a requirement to replace the Sopith with 1/12 structure and Dorner A.R. Renaissance aircraft in the A2 Tactical Renaissance role. Salmon, I don't know, had built the 1.5 Schroeder underlying. I can't really speak. Lines and the Salmon 2. While an original design owned more to the Sponth to the easier Sponth menu. The aircraft was a conventional construction with a two-bay biplane configuration, powered by the company's own Salmon 9Z water-cooled radial engine of 230 bhp. Some minor control problems were quickly resolved in the early testing, but the main default of the Selma 2 shared with the company Airco DH.4 was the pilot and gunner. Gunner were seated rather far apart, making communication difficult. Production was ordered after trails on 29th of April 1917, and delivers were underway by October of that year. Around 3,200 Salomon 2s were built in France, 2,200 by Salomon, and the remainder by the Lite Corps. I have no clue, really. Hornet, and defenses. I have no clue. Campaigns. Some of these were Salmon 2 D.2, dual control advanced training aircraft.
So in World War II, the list of aircraft of World War II includes all the aircraft used by those countries which were at war during World War II from the period between their joining the conflict and the conflict ending for them. Aircraft developed but not used operationally in the war are in the prototype section at the end. Prototypes for aircraft that entered service under a different design number are ignored in favor of service version. The date the aircraft entered service or was first flown, if the service date is unknown, or did not enter service, follows the name, followed by the country of origin and major wartime users. Aircraft used for multiple roles are generally only listed under their primary role unless specialized versions were built for other roles. Aircraft used by neutral countries such as Spain, Switzerland, and Sweden, or countries which did no significant fighting, such as most of those in South America, except Brazil, are not included. Okay, so from its prior inception, the USAAC touted the aircraft as a strategic weapon, and this is about the B-17 Flying Fortress. It was a potent, high-flying, long-range bomber that was able to defend itself and to return home despite extensive battle damage. Its reputation quickly took on mythic proportions, and widely circulated stories and photos of notable numbers and examples of B-17s surviving battle damage increased its iconic status. With a service ceiling greater than any of its allied contemporaries, the B-17 established itself as an effective weapon system, dropping more bombs than any other U.S. aircraft in World War II. Of the 1.5 million tons of bombs dropped on Germany and its occupied territory by U.S. aircraft, 640,000 tons were dropped from B-17s. In addition to its role as a bomber, the B-17 was also employed as a transport and anti-submarine warfare platform, drone controller, and search and rescue aircraft. The F4U-1A Corsair, and that's the plane that we're going to be talking about. Okay, so the Corsair was designed as a carrier-based aircraft. However, its difficult carrier landing reforms rendered the Corsair unsuitable for Navy use until the carrier landing issues were overcome when used by the British Fleet Air Arm. The Corsair thus came to and retained prominence in its area of greatest deployment, land-based by the U.S. Marines. The role of dominant U.S. carrier-based fighter in the second part of the war was thus filled by the German F-6F Hellcat, powered by the same double Wasp engine first flown on the Corsair's first prototype in 1940. The Corsair served as a lesser degree in the U.S. Navy. As well as the U.S. and British used the Corsair, was also used by the Royal New Zealand Air Force and the French Navy. And the French Navy Audi Ron Naval. I'm guessing that was French. If you're French, if you speak French and you know what that word means,
Tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us.
And other smaller air forces until the 1960s. Some Japanese pilots regarded it as the most formidable American fighter of World War II. The U.S. Navy counted an 11-1 kill ratio with the F-4U Corsair.
So the plane we're going to be going over now is the Spitfire. The submarine Spitfire is a British single-seat fighter aircraft that was used by the Royal Air Force and many other Allied countries before, during, and after the Second World War. The Spitfire was built in many varieties, using several wing configurations, and was produced in greater numbers than any other British aircraft. It was also only British fight. It was also the only British fighter to be continuous production throughout the war. The Spitfire continues to be popular among Asians, with approximately 53 Spitfires being airworthy, while many more are static exhibits in aviation museums throughout the world. So, the Halifax is the plane. The Handley Page Halifax was a 4-engine heavy bomber, modern, operated by the British Royal Air Force during World War II. The Halifax remained service until the end of the war, performing a variety of duties in action to bombing. It was contemporary of the Aerial Lancaster. I'm not sure. The Halifax was also operated by the Royal Canadian Air Force, Royal Australian Air Force, Free French Air Force, and Polish forces. After World War II, by the Royal Egyptian Air Force and French Ennemi d'Air, and the Royal Pesquin Air Force in the Royal Pesquin.
Okay, so the FWI-89A2UHU. Okay, so the Focke-Wulf FWI-89 UHU Eagle Owl was a German twin-engine, twin-bomber, three-seated tactical reconnaissance and Army cooperation aircraft. It first flew in 1938. FW189V1 entered service in 1940 and was produced until mid-1944. It should not be confused with the Hinkel HE-219 Night Fighter, also named a Night Eagle Owl. In addition, Focke-Wulf used this airframe in response to a tender request by the RLM and for a dedicated ground attack airplane and later submitted an armored version for trials. However, the Henschel HS-129 was selected instead.
So the ME-210/410, the Massachusetts ME-210 was a German heavy fighter and ground attack aircraft of World War II. The ME-10 was designed to replace the Bf-110. Design started before the opening of World War II. The first examples of the ME-210 were ready in 1939, but they proved to have unacceptably poor flight characteristics. From a serious wing platform and false design flaws. A large-scale operational testing program throughout 1941 and early 1942 did not cure the aircraft's problems. The design entered limited service in 1943, but was almost immediately replaced by the Massachusetts ME-410 Hornet, or you can call it Hornets or the Hornet. The ME-410, was a further development of the ME-210, renamed so as to avoid the 210's nudity. The failure of the ME-210's development program meant that the Loftus was forced to continue fielding the outdated Bf-10 despite mounting so now we're going over the modern aircrafts. In the 18th century, Isaac Newton was the first to theorize that a reward-channeled explosion could propel a machine forward at a great rate of speed. A jet propulsion system which used piston engine exhausted gases to add heat to an otherwise pure air system compressed by rotating fan blades, and a duct was painted by Harry Curran in 1910. A jet aircraft flies much faster in higher altitudes, as high as 33,000 through 49,000 feet. Then a propeller-powered aircraft, the jet engine, consisted of an engine with a rotary air compression powered by a turbine with the leftover power providing thrust via a propelling nozzle. The Italian Caproni N1 motor jet prototype that flew on August 29, 1940, was the first flight of a jet engined aircraft to come to popular attraction. During the late World War II, Germany made the first operational jet fighter, which was the fastest conventional aircraft then. The first commercial airline was De Havilland Combat, produced in 1949 by Britain.
Okay, so this is for the SR-71 Blackbird. And this is not to get confused with, there are 3 different Blackbirds. And if you do go look at the slide, it is the Blackbird that's on the first page. Okay, so its estimated speed is 2,500 miles per hour. Its regular operating speed is 2,000 miles per hour. It first flew in the 1960s and is the fastest and highest flying plane. And like I said, there are 3. There is this one I'm talking about, but then there's a newer model, and there's a newer model of this one, but then there's also another model that people are more familiar with that can't be detected by radar, and that one is not, and those two are not to get mixed up with the SR-71. Okay, so the Lockheed U-2, nicknamed Dragon Lady, is a single jet-engine, ultra-high altitude reconnaissance aircraft operated by the United States Air Force, and previously flown by the Central Intelligence Agency. It provides day and night very high altitude all-weather intelligence gathering. The U-2 has also been used for electronic sensor research, satellite calibration, and communication purposes. So it's basically a spy plane, and it can be 70,000 feet up, 21,000 meters, and take high definition photos. But that's all it's meant for. It has no defense whatsoever, like weaponry.
Okay, so the Denial Dynamics Baptir unarmed aerial vehicle, aka UAV, unarmed aerial vehicle. The Battler, named from the Battler Eagle, is an unarmed aerial vehicle (UAV) prototype designed and built by Denial Dynamics, formerly Kurdan. It has been designed as a medium altitude, long endurance UAV, with its primary role being surveillance with a secondary signal intelligence capability. Development began in 2003 as a totally in-house and private venture project, developed with the Interior company funds. The first prototype was extended to fly in early 2006, but as of 2010, this has not yet happened. The aircraft was included in a Brazilian Air Force RFP for UAVs in early 2009. Though as of 2010, of its comprehension has not been concluded, the South Africa National Defense Force SANDF has expressed interest in the system, but required in 2006 that the cost of the system be reduced before an equation could be concerned. In 2008, the South Africa Air Force announced a project named Idoboom to require a male UAV in the 2009-2012 timeframe, with the Bachelor presumed to be a front runner.